How's it going, everybody? My name is Dominic DeSuze. Tonight, I'm going to be walking through the beginning of the Investment Dominator and what we like to call going over our Big Three section. Today is Monday, May 24th. And for those of you that may be new to the stream, we do want to say that our Monday calls are dedicated for our beginning users of the Investment Dominator. Um, we also have our Thursday session, which we go over more advanced topics and more advanced questions. If you guys are going to be submitting any of those kind of advanced questions, we will be getting to that on Thursday. Just for the sake of me not talking to myself, if you guys can hear me in the chat, please just go ahead and just say yes or something, just letting me know that I can hear you. That'd be much appreciated when we're walking through this. But you can also see on the screen a way to submit your questions. Just kind of saying you don't have to raise your hand. You could just go ahead and submit your questions. Seeing some great response from everybody here tonight. Thank you guys so much. Do appreciate that. So like I was saying about the big three, we have our profile section, our company information, and then we also have our last section, which is going over our domains. Great feature about the domains is that we do provide a free SSL or secured socket layer. So when you are getting your domains, you don't have to pay any extra for that. You'll be ready to go, and we'll kind of walk you through that process. So do keep in mind that everything right now is being recorded, so we will be able to look these up later in case if there are any issues or in case if there's anything you want to slow down on. But mainly, we're keeping through with the LPG deal flow, and this is pretty much transparent throughout everything Investment Dominator. So, you're working through your list, you're getting ready to take in all your data, and you're going to want to output letters, offers, you're going to want to output your websites, calculators, tools, analytics, and as well as team management. So this is kind of everything that the Investment Dominator can do and everything that you can input into the system. So some great things that we have with the Investment Dominator. And it looks like we have a lot of people here which are eager to learn, so that's great to hear. Let's go ahead and start this up. All right, so we have our Investment Dominator. Now, one thing you want to keep in mind is that it may look, a little bit overwhelming when you first open up the Investment Dominator, but we're going to go ahead, take this step by step and tell you everything that you're going to need to know in order to kind of get your feet wet and your foot through the door when you're working with the Investment Dominator. So something handy that you'll notice right when you log into the Investment Dominator is this kind of help wizard. If it's your first time, I do definitely recommend going through this. It just kind of walks you through on the different tabs and the different sections. You'll notice we do have our color-coded sections up here, which are main priority, we would say, depending on if you're doing land, houses, your marketing tab and your notes section as well. You'll kind of just get more information about that when you're working through this help guide right there. But we're going to go ahead and end that tour for right now. We're going to go ahead straight to our profile section. So this is going to be the big topic of our big three, and this is the first one. So let's go ahead and go through it. So when you're looking at this screen, you'll just kind of notice your first name, your last name, your email, phone number, and your time zone. This is kind of all, self-explanatory, you might think, but you really want to pay attention to this because when, if you send a ticket to ticket support or if you're suggesting a feature, we want to make sure that we are communicating with the right person. So leaving your best number to reach you at phone number, as well as the best email to reach you at. This is not for marketing purposes. This is just completely so our team can communicate with you, which is why also if you have a time zone specific to your area where you might want to be reached at, just kind of want to imply that there as well. So once you get through that section, a big handy feature that you'll notice, and kind of also that you'll notice through your neutral letters as well, your signature image. So this is something that you really want to think about doing, as well as anytime you see these question marks in brackets you'll kind of notice that if you hover over that item, it'll just tell you more information. This is also very transparent through the Investment Dominator. So if you're wondering, like what's required to, send out your offer letters or etc., just kind of hover over these. You'll see them throughout, and it'll give you some helpful tips. But speaking about our signatures, so I already have one uploaded here with my name, and let's say, for instance, I want to generate a signature, and this is also a generator signature, but let's say that, for instance, when I hit here, you have a little space to enter your name. So I'll go ahead and just type my name in again. And you'll notice that we have a font selection here. So with the font selection, we do have these available fonts. Do keep in mind that we do not have any additional fonts besides these, so that's kind of something to keep in mind if you're wondering that. But we do have a nice range of fonts. When you're in the Generate Signature option, you can change the color to, let's say, blue, for instance. I like blue, and it seems to pop really well. So this is something that is going to be a premium. So keep in mind that when you are sending in your letters and you're going to have your signature popping up in blue font, it is going to be a bit of a premium in terms of what you're paying. So, you don't have to choose additional colors, but if you do want to go that route, you can do that. So once we're done generating our signature here, we can go ahead and insert signature. So you'll kind of see this little bit of an overlay. We have our script signature or our superscript signature up here, and then our bottom script here. And once we're ready to go ahead and replace that, we're always going to want to keep in mind of this blue button right here at the bottom. This is going to update our Investment Dominator, and our new signature is going to take place. So you might be saying like, oh, that's great. I didn't know you could do that, but I actually already have a signature that I want to upload. So this is something that is common across our students, and we do have a handy little feature here for uploading our signature image. So we can go ahead and pull that up, and let's see, I believe I do have one here, and we have a sample signature right there. So this is our sample signature, and you'll notice that when we upload it, we'll have an ability to crop it. This is kind of the section where you want to do some testing before you send out your documents, especially if you're just uploading your signature for the first time. And the reason that I'm saying this is when you're cropping it, you just want to make sure that you do have a great deal of the image, but also you want to keep in mind that the ratio as well. This is something that you can kind of test when working with your image. We do accept a lot of types of formats such as PNG and JPEG. So you'll see that we have some accessibility options there. But once we're satisfied with our uploaded signature, we can go ahead and hit the update button there. And you'll see that it kind of replaces the old image which we had. So we have some great options and some handy features when you're working with the Investment Dominator. And you can kind of forget about this section, so just kind of keep in mind that you'll want to update this, or at least remember to check on it to make sure it's secure. So the next section that we have over here is our our password section. In case if you did want to change your password, you can do that here. And as well as when you're done kind of viewing everything within the Investment Dominator, there's really going to be no need for you to enable that tour anymore. So you can go ahead and click no to have that stop popping up, because that'll happen about every time you log in. So then you'll just want to go ahead and hit update. And all right, that's the first section of our big three. And small notes of progress lead to great achievements. So let's go ahead and go to our second section, which we have under the Customize tab right here. So once we hit Customize, we're going to want to go ahead and go to our company information. Let's close that. All right, so this is a big spring-loaded section. Some people do get lost when kind of talking through this. So right after I'm done with the big three, I'll go over where you can view these recordings, these live recordings. And yeah. So let's see here. So we have our company phone, which I'll highlight here. Then we have our offer phone, which I'll highlight here. And then last but not least, we do have our selling site phone. So these are the big three priority items for this section. And something that you want to keep in mind is we are going to go over these sections right here where we'll kind of talk about uh, our company phone, which we have listed as extension 1, our offer phone, which we have listed as extension 2, and then our selling side phone, which you'll notice no extension, but instead is a dedicated number. So I want to break this down and I want to kind of go more into details about these. We do have a diagram set up for this live stream. We do talk about our partner Ring Central, so that's what we're going to recommend. But before we get into too much of the nitty gritty, let's go over the rest of the section that we have available for us here. So you'll notice a not available within company fax. Do not actually know if people are still using fax numbers, but if you are still using one, in fact, you can go ahead and populate this field here. When you're looking at your company email address, this is something that's going to be given for your business. So this is kind of like a business professional email, and you'll just want to kind of make this separate from, let's say, the email that you put in your profile section if you do business outside of that email. So that's kind of what you'll put there. And again, just kind of bringing up the question mark within the brackets in case if you did have any uh, questions about any of the stuff that you see, you can kind of hover over these items. But company name, so let's dive into company name. So we have right here listed company name LLC. Now keep in mind, you're not going to want to copy everything that you see exactly on the screen. It's just more for demonstration purposes. But you're really going to want to have an LLC, which you'll have listed for your company name. And if you're not in the works already, within getting this, you probably should think about the steps that you would take. But let's say, for instance, you just come and you welcome aboard onto the Investment Dominator, and let's say you do have it in works, but you want to continue to do business with the Investment Dominator. So what you can go ahead and list right now for temporary, because you're working towards your LLC, is a DBA, which is doing business as, and then your name. This is what we've seen our students to be most successful before they are able to obtain their LLC. So that's something that you just want to keep in mind. We're getting a lot of good feedback tonight, so appreciate everybody for commenting. Thank you for everybody for joining on. Just keep in mind any advanced questions will be geared towards Thursday, but you can go ahead and submit them today if you wanted to save that for that session. So moving ahead to our company address. So we have here 345 Sunny Road Lane. One thing you want to keep in mind about this address is you don't want it to be your home address. And I'm going to say that again. We do not want that to be your home address. There has been instances where, you're doing business and let's say a deal didn't go as planned. You just don't want to be in a position where people have your address. So this goes also for when you're working at home. You want to get another address. And the way that we have seen our students do this is actually getting a PO box with the UPS store. This is a highly effective measure. So what happens is a lot of times the students will get the PO box, but then when they get put, when it comes to their company address section, they'll go ahead and type PO box, a set of numbers, whatever's included. This looks extremely unprofessional, so we want to kind of gear away from that. While it's okay to, use a PO box, which you can do instead within this section, since this is going to be in your, neutral letters, you want to keep that in mind. You can go ahead and just put the address of the UPS store. So this is kind of for best measures, and it's early practice with their students, so it's everything's worked and tested, so it should be good when it comes to that. Alongside with our company address, you're going to have a place for your company city. Go ahead and put that there. The state of where your business is operating, as well as the zip code. We will come back to the offer phone section here, but we have our offer email, you'll notice, and our selling site email blank. Now, this is not an error, but in fact, kind of a little shortcut to Investment Dominator. What happens a lot of times, when you have, let's say, 3 emails, or if you're, really booming in business, let's say you have a lot of emails that you have to keep track of. So one thing that could kind of change that aspect for you is that instead of having 3 separate emails, which these fields kind of ask for, you can go ahead and leave your offer email blank as well as your selling site email blank. Now, what does this do, you ask? So this will automatically default all your emails to this company email that you have listed up here. So this is kind of a way that you can organize everything as well as keep track, and you don't have to worry about different emails, different logins, anything of that sort. You can go ahead and just populate this field only, and you can leave these 2 blank. So hopefully that helps you out there. But you have your company time zone here. This is where your business operates at. You just kind of want to let people know, where you are, where your business is located, and as well as your company notes section here. Do keep in mind that this will print on your letters, so it'll be right at the bottom of your letters, your neutral letters. So just kind of keep that in mind. But this is a section where you want to provide kind of details about your business. So for this, I had put, hours of operation East Coast. I'm on the East Coast. The rest of my team is in Arizona. But I'll say Monday through Friday we are doing business 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., which is great. Just kind of information if people wanted to reach out to you, in case if they called you or anything of that sort. So the next piece of information you want to keep in mind is this right here. So your real estate agent broker disclosure, this is going to be very, very, very important, as well as essential to your business if you are a real estate agent or broker. And I say this is important because there are legal implications to you doing business. So you're going to have to declare that. You will notice that when you say yes, that a little prompt will pop up. Depending on where you are, you might have to add more to that, or you'll leave it, as is. But just kind of keep in mind of this section. If you are a real estate agent or broker, you must declare that. So then you'll notice the section here, tax ID type, where you'll see SSN and TIN. These are numbers of identification, which are required for tax documents. So you don't necessarily have to worry about this if you're just starting up with the Investment Dominator per se, but if you are working with, let's say, 1098 forms where you do have to send documents to the IRS for verification, you are going to have to provide either an SSN number or a TIN number. This is just for government reasons and regulations, so you'll go ahead and provide that there. If this section does not apply to you, please don't feel pressured to enter it. You do not have to. You can just go ahead and hit the update site button down below, and that'll kind of update everything. But let's dive into the phone section. So we have, again, our company phone. Let's kind of dive into this. So you'll see our company phone is one number right here, 510-555-4545. And then you'll see extension 1, Pat Live or Smith AI. So this number in specific is going to be geared on our diagram section here, which we'll go ahead and pull up for our recommended phone setup, which requires 2 lines. So keep in mind that when you're talking to Ring Central and you're buying these lines, which this plan is recommended from, you're going to want to be very strict when you're talking to these people. They're salesmen, but at the same time, if you don't know what you're talking about, you might end up paying more. So stick with us and we'll keep you on the good side. But we have local number 1 here, which we're buying from Ring Central, and they are providing a local number 2. So this is our extension setup. So it's kind of a keyword that you want to bring up when you're talking to Ring Central. You want to get 1 line, 2 extensions, and then if they do offer that additional line, that should come about to 34 something a month. So kind of keep that in mind. But let's break down these numbers. So we'll go back into our Investment Dominator, our company phone, which is this extension 1. So we'll have here people who are requesting an offer. That's this group. You'll see that Pat Live is listed down here. So Pat Live is another resource. They are completely separate from Ring Central. So keep in mind that's 2 different subscriptions that are going on. But we recommend, as well as Ring Central, Pat Live, and this is because they are a 24-hour call center. So, when people are requesting an offer, you send them a neutral letter. They're going to call in, let's say, for instance. And well, for extension 1, people are going to call into your Pat Live representative, and your Pat Live representative, like I said before, 24/7, they're going to process your new offer request and kind of handle that transaction for you. And kind of why we recommend Pat Live is because it's a lot of work. When you think about the amount of records that you're sending out and the amount of people that you could possibly be hearing back from, this is something that is going to be very overwhelming if you were to say just put a regular phone number here, like something, like your cell phone. This is something that we don't recommend. And, especially when you're doing business with the Investment Dominator, it is called the Investment Dominator. When you're investing into your setup. So we have our recommended setup here, which is 2 lines, and our recommended setup here, which is 3 lines. But this is popular because of that extension deal that we have going on. So your extension 1 covers that Pat Live number. That's completely taken care of. Then you have your extension 2 number. So you'll notice this is something right here. It's the same number as the top, 510 555 4545. And this is going to be your extension 2. So we recommend using a Google Voice or Skype number for this. Now, do keep in mind that you don't have to follow everything according to plan when it comes to this. You could, use other providers for this demonstration and for this live stream, though. We do recommend doing services with, especially up here, our recommended phone setup here. So your extension 2 is going to be any questions about your offer, kind of discussing the more inner workings and the inner, deal process. So you want to keep in mind that when you're working with your extension 2, you don't want to send this to Pat Live. This is a number that you want, like kind of like dedicated to you, that Google Voice or that Skype number. Like we were saying before, right here, questions about your offer. You don't want the Pat Live representative who's given a script to just kind of ask certain questions to go over that topic. So you're going to want to have that extension 2 so people can go ahead and call right into that. And then you have your local number 2 over here, and you'll see that number is completely separate from these 2 numbers up here. This is because the selling site phone will have to do with, let's say, Warren likes to call it his money phone. And you want a dedicated line to you when this comes up because that means you got a big deal coming up. And it means you want something that's completely dedicated to you, and when it rings, you'll make sure you'll pick it up. That's something you really kind of don't want going to voicemail, but if it does happen, at least it'll be on that dedicated line. So you'll see that whole process there. So going over it again, just one more time, very briefly, recommended phone setup, 2 lines, your local number 1, your local number 2. You have your local number 1 with 2 extensions. This is what you'll dedicate your first extension to Pat Live, if you so choose, and your second extension dedicated to a Google Voice or Skype number for more about your questions and offers. And your local number 2, which is completely separate, is just more about your questions about your land for sale. So you'll see here that we do have a recommended phone setup, which is 3 lines. This is the more expensive option, but we do find when people are increasing in scale, let's say you have a couple of members on your team, you'll do want to have 3 dedicated numbers for this. So do keep in mind this setup is a little bit more pricier, but is worth it in terms of investment. So this will just give you a dedicated number, which is for your Pat Lab representatives to go ahead and work with that. A dedicated number for questions about your offers, anything people responding to your letters, and a dedicated number for last but not least, which is your questions about your land for sale. This is again just a number that you want to dedicate solely for that purpose. So that was our company information section. That was a big section that we went over. So hopefully everybody's still on track with that. But with that note, we can go ahead and dive into the last section of our big three. Great progress. So let's go ahead and start that. The last section that we are going to be working with is our domain section. So kind of a little, let's see where I can start with that. I'll go ahead and show you guys how to get to the article first. So what you'll want to do is go ahead and type in, or go ahead and click up here in the top right next to the logout button. You'll see a help icon. This is also where you click down and see your weekly live Q&A calls, Monday and Thursday sessions. In case if you did not sign up for these sessions, you can go ahead and do that there. And then for the purpose of this, we are going to search our user guide for a video. So let's see. For this purpose, we can go ahead and type in domain just like that into our user guide. And then you can go ahead and configure your website's domain. So it's kind of the first article that does pop up. So hopefully that does for you as well. Please let me know some feedback if it does not. We're kind of working towards our search engine optimization when it comes to these articles. So we want to try to help as much as we can. So you'll kind of notice right when you start up this article, it'll give you some information about your buying and selling websites. If you didn't even start working towards that, you'll notice that your URL looks something like this. This is something that you don't want to add to a letter, so let's go ahead and work through with that. So for this example, we are using GoDaddy. If you so choose use another provider, just keep in mind we are going to have the same steps and the same process that kind of goes about this, which involves pointing our CNAME record to the Investment Dominator. So let's go ahead and see what we do here. So it's asking us to log into GoDaddy, and you'll notice this background does change quite frequently. So then we're going to log in, and then we're just going to go to the My Products tab shown here. So let's go ahead and do that. So I am in GoDaddy, and I am logged into My Products here. So we'll go ahead and go back to our article. Do we have two articles? I believe we do. So what's this one? Okay. Scroll back down here. So we'll go to the My Products section, and then we're going to scroll down and we're going to go to manage our domain products. So let's go ahead and do that. And we'll see it here. So we have manage. So do keep in mind, you do need to buy two domains, a buying site and a selling site domain. For this instance, I do have a selling site domain, so you'll notice that it is a fancier name like lotsofcashoffers.com. When you're working with your selling site, you do want more of how do I say, a better a name that pops. That's what I'll say. And this is because, you know, when you have your land for sale, you just kind of want something that grabs people's attention. As compared to your buying site, you could have something like joesbuysdirt.com or something like that. So you'll notice that we have this section here, and this is good to go. So let's go back to our article. So we'll just want to go ahead to domain settings, and then we'll go to DNS and manage zones. So let's scroll back to the top. So we have DNS, and then we have manage zones up here. So we'll go ahead and click that. And then you'll see a domain name kind of section here. Let's go back to our article. So it's going to ask you to go ahead and just type in your domain name. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have lotsofcashoffers.com. And you'll notice as soon as I click the search, it'll just bring me straight into our DNS management section. In case if you did get lost, you can go ahead and just follow the rest of the tutorial here. But we're going to want to scroll down now, and we're going to want to go to the records section, which we'll see here. Some information that you will need to know that we are focusing on is our CNAME record here. So the CNAME, and you'll see that's under type, and then you have www under name, and then value, and we'll kind of dive more into that. But let's go ahead and scroll down here. So this is kind of the section that we were talking about. So we're going to want to edit this specific field right here, CNAME, name. And this is something that's we're going to go ahead and edit here. So let's go back to here. So you'll notice when you first start out by creating your domains, there'll be kind of different information than you'll see here, but these sections are your top priority for the domains. So we have our points to, which has the asterisk symbol here, and we're going to change that to investmentdominator.com. And then we have our TTL, or in other words, our time to load our website. And instead of having that default to 1 hour, we are going to go ahead and change that to custom. And then when we see seconds, we're going to change it to 600 seconds. We kind of want a fast load speed for our websites. So you'll see that I have that here. Host name stays www, points to investmentdominator.com, TTL, just make sure you put it as custom. And for seconds, go ahead and put 600. So once you're done with that, you can just go ahead and save that section right there. And then we can go ahead and set up our forwarding. So a handy feature kind of involved with your domains is the option to forward. A lot of times people, don't have the time to type in HTTP semicolon dash dash, so we're set up our forwarding. And when you click the little edit button here, which you'll see in the tutorial, you'll see kind of well, for me it's an edit button, but you'll see an ad. You'll go ahead and follow exactly the details listed on this. So you'll have your forward to, and you'll put your custom domain here. Forward type, go ahead and put as permanent. And this section here, I believe GoDaddy updated, so you don't have to do that anymore. So you'll notice the settings here. So we have our domain, www.lotsofcashoffers.com. Forward type is selected to permanent, as well as our settings to forward only. And, we don't have to worry about that section. Looks like GoDaddy already took care of that forwarding option for us, so we can go ahead and hit save. So go ahead and pat yourself on the back. We finished our domains. Kind of a quick little section about that. When you're working with this, you should spend no more than, I would say, $11 on your domains. I believe GoDaddy does have a special around this. It probably comes out to $12 with tax, but you really shouldn't be spending more than $24 for your domains. This is also because we do provide a free SSL, so you don't have to pay for that. So now that we're done with setting up our domain in the GoDaddy portion, we can go ahead and start focusing on how to map it to the Investment Dominator. So let's go ahead and come back to the Investment Dominator, and we'll go to Customize. And for this instance, depending on if you are working with your buying or selling website, you'll just want to keep in mind of which. But for this instance, we are going to be working with the selling site. So keep in mind what I was saying. Buying site, you don't really have to have a super nice name, just something like Joe's Buys Dirt. Something for your selling site, you'll want to keep in mind like something that pops, like lotsofcashoffers.com. That pops. So you'll see, like I was showing before, something that just says Investment Dominator, your normal domain that you get. But once you customize it, you can go ahead and go to change your domain. So you'll see for this instance right here, change your selling site domain, and you'll have a www already provided. So just go ahead and just type in your domain as it is with the .com. So we have lotsofcashoffers.com. And then it's just going to ask you, have you pointed your custom domain to Investment Dominator via the CNAME record? We went ahead and did that, so we can go ahead and check that. And then we'll just click next here. So it may take some time to go ahead and process this request. but you will notice that it will change and will respond. One thing that it will ask, and hopefully we'll be able to see that firsthand, is if it'll ask you if you want to generate your security, your SSL, your secured socket layer. Rather than clicking OK after you're done with setting up one of your domains, just go ahead and click generate. We have heard from some students as well that it kind of generates your information for you if you already did the SSL in the beginning. So you'll not have to worry about that section as much. But so for this instance, because I already set this up, it says the domain was already changed, so please use your new domain to access again. So it'll kind of open up back to this section here. Like I was saying before, if you did not previously set up your security, the security option will pop up on the page right after you click to confirm your domain, and you'll kind of get another security question there, or it'll generate your SSL, and then you'll be good to go. So this process, this website process, domain process, is the same for your buying and selling site. So kind of keep that in mind. The same process that we did right here is applicable to the buying site as well. But all right, so this section of the live stream we are going to dedicate to any questions that you guys have with the Investment Dominator. Some questions that I'm seeing now, kind of how we use the help section. So we go ahead and walk through some of those right now. Do keep in mind we are going to make this to the beginner section. So let's go ahead and look at our questions that we have now. So just kind of question about the documents. Let's see, from Eddie Yazzie. He's asking, is the signature just for mail documents that are sent out? Yes, and if you so choose to include a signature onto your website, for instance, this is going to populate that field as well if you use one of our merge fields. But just to kind of show you here, I have a prospect record. We'll go ahead and generate this document, and we have our prospect neutral letter here. We'll take the PDF version of that, and you'll see that the signature that I created before actually ends up on our neutral letter here. So just kind of keep in mind of that. You know, like I was saying before, your website. So this is my buying website. I currently don't have an extra domain listed. Well, you'll see that listed there. And once we were in our company information section, all of that information about my extension 1 number is listed there, as well as my company name, which is my LLC, or you're doing business as, and just kind of your name in bold here. So you'll notice that it kind of looks like this. So do keep in mind when you are changing your images, when you're working with anything that has to do with mailings, you always want to test like this, like I just kind of showed you there, that your documents are coming out good and that you don't have any formatting issues or anything like that sort. It does also help when you're working with your recommended phone setup, because you know this does involve time and money. You do want to make sure that these things work. So you know, testing out your own extension 1 number, or your extension 2 number, for instance, or extension 3, not extension 3, sorry, your second local number here. You just kind of want to make sure everything works, everything can be applied to the user that is trying to reach out to you, to kind of simulate that experience. But Eddie, I do hope that helps you in some way, kind of what's being provided. Also, something that I do want to note from this section as well, what I was talking about with your signature, you know, if you notice, you'll see that I didn't crop out the image as well as I should have. And I can see that just from this testing here. But there's like actually a little bit of leeway on the left side and the right side. Depending on your image, you're just gonna want to make sure that your crop does come out correctly. We have seen sometimes we have some users who will import an image and it'll be completely expanded, taking up like that whole thing. So do keep in mind that when you're doing that, you're pushing all of this down. So this is going to therefore kind of change your formatting for your letters and kind of, misalign everything that you're working with. So always make sure to test everything that you're doing and ensure that everything works properly. And let's see, we have a question here. So, what happens if things do not work properly? So we can go ahead and let's focus on our help section at the top right here. And then we can go to our, whoops, not weekly live Q&A, a section right here called create a new support ticket. So this is where you are going to submit your tickets. And, I am working with the Investment Dominator going through tickets as well. So we have no problem really answering anything technical that you guys throw at us. But kind of just walking you through the process here, you'll go ahead and write your ticket. Then you'll go ahead and give a link to the issue. Sometimes it may have to do with your buying or selling website, so that's kind of where these links would come into hand. But any issue really when you're working with your investment dominator, as soon as you notice that problem, go ahead and take a screenshot, which I'll kind of walk through in a second. But go ahead and take this URL and paste that there. It might not be important, you might not seem this is important, but when we're really kind of troubleshooting these issues, a lot of the feedback kind of points back to that URL too. So the more information we have, the easier it is to solve your problem. But we do have what platform you use. So you go ahead and put computer, Mac, tablet, Android, whichever you may use, as well as the browser, just all important information. And then just kind of the priority. So we do have critical listed as a 24-hour response, important with the 48, and normal with a 72-hour response window. We do get tickets pretty fast, so if it is critical though, please list it as critical. As well as a section here kind of going through how to attach a file, and you'll notice this little help window here, the question mark, and that'll kind of walk you through that. When you're also working with choosing your files to upload, you can go ahead and do that. Something that comes up quite frequently is actually how to kind of like best submit a ticket. So going back to our user guide section here, let's say, for instance, we didn't know what keyword that we wanted to use. We can go ahead and just hit the big blue button right there, search our user guide, and you'll kind of just be brought to everything. So let's say, for instance, we go here. We go to our main section up here, browse our user guide. So we do have our browse our user guide, our FAQ section, known issues, as well as support. This is kind of just where you would, extra option where you could submit your ticket. Just kind of keep in mind these, but really, if you're lost with the investment dominator and you're confused about where to start, or even, you're just kind of sitting there like, what keywords do I use? You can go ahead and just search our tabs up here. Just go to browse our user guide, and you see general. It kind of has to do with general things in the investment dominator. We have house, we have land, we have selling, customization, data, integrations, etc. These calls, these live Q&A calls, these are going to be under this section right here. Go ahead and click that, and then you'll kind of see all the calls recently listed here. And this is so that we can also just kind of keep in track everything that is going on. So you'll notice for a Monday call, like this call right here, 426, we'll have this section, the big three, listed out. And then we'll have kind of any questions that we're going through. And these are all going to be provided as timestamps. So just for ease of accessibility when you're kind of working through with this help section. But for instance, let's say if we wanted to look at our land section here, you'll notice kind of everything that has to do with land within this section. If you do have any feedback or if you do have any suggestions for articles, you can always go back to our create a, oh no, sorry, you go back to our suggested feature section here, and we'll have a separate opportunity for you to kind of provide a recommendation. This can do with the Investment Dominator articles, this can do with the Investment Dominator itself, but just kind of keep in mind that whenever you are working with features, there's really any feedback is good feedback. So you might think that the question is kind of not going to be important or something like that, but actually a lot of our students do appreciate just kind of any questions that are coming in. And it looks like actually we have a question coming in now. Let's see if we can go ahead and take a look at that. So just want to write these questions down as well. All right, and it looks like it's from Eddie Yaz. So he's saying for the buying and selling domains, can you use subdomains for each one? Subdomains is what precedes the first period. For example, selling website, cash for your land domain name.com. Two different versus having two completely different domain names. Okay, so we do get asked that question a lot in reference to subdomains. While we don't have a direct article kind of revolving around this, it looks like, Eddie, your question kind of points to if you should have two domains, rather than one domain that kind of splits off into two. For the purposes of the Investment Dominator and kind of how we do our operations, it is going to be essential to have two separate domains. That's one for your buying site and one for your selling site. And these can't be the same because when you are, let's go ahead and go back to the Investment Dominator here. See if we could find our tabs. Whoops. Looks like this one could do it. So you'll just notice that we have two separate spaces for the buying and selling domains. The reason why we don't kind of mix it up is because of the other functionality that's involved with the Investment Dominator. So specifically, the functionality that involves with our buying site and our selling site. So for instance, if you have the same thing, let me go ahead to our buying site. Actually, I could do that here. Websites, buying site. So the functionality that's involved with this site and kind of how customers or prospects can go ahead and fill in this section, optional reference number. This is all being tied to your one specific domain that you're working with, so that buying site domain. So if you use the same domain for this as your selling site, which we can go ahead and open here, the functionality is just not going to operate the same. And this is because they'll be conflicting. So what'll either happen is an error will be displayed, or you just won't be able to have the same domain. So just kind of keep them separate, and do keep in mind that the setup is pretty cheap in regards to this. But if you're working with another provider which you find to be more convenient for your sake, I have seen, for instance, I believe I'm not sure if it's Grasshopper or something of that sort, but they do ask for the subdomain kind of like questions revolving around that, which is what you brought up. Now, since we don't have any articles about that, my best advice, and for anybody else who was having this issue as well, just go ahead and submit a ticket and we can work that out. Usually what ends up happening is we'll go back to our section here on domains. Looks like that article might have closed, so let's go ahead and search that again. Domain, the first article that pops up. No matter what provider you're working with, at the end of the day, you're still going to have to point your CNAME record to the Investment Dominator. One section that will change throughout is this section here on forwarding. This might look different depending on your provider, so you'll either notice something completely different or you'll see something similar, such as the GoDaddy. Just kind of keep in mind of what you're doing. So anything within your settings that says like forward to, you're just going to want to go ahead and follow the same settings like this. Just put the forward type as permanent and forward only. Just keep in mind of this. So no matter what provider you are using in your domains, Namecheap, Ionos, whatever you may be using, it's the same process. The only thing is that if you don't, we have some people who kind of have their own websites, which we do not really recommend, but if you do go about that route, just keep in mind that we will not be able to troubleshoot any problems that you have because your website isn't tied to the Investment Dominator. So just kind of keep that in mind. So hopefully that answers your question, Eddie. But we do have another question here from Jamiller Ellis. So let's see. Looks like they're saying basically the Investment Dominator site will host our website, and this is where we build our websites. So yes, basically to sum it up, yes. One thing I will kind of point you to, Jamiller, is if let's go ahead and type in, actually, do we have a section here for websites? We do have customize here, which we kind of go into it, but let's say, for instance, we wanted to do everything related to our buying website. So go ahead and type buying, and then we'll go ahead and search that. So you'll keep in mind that we do have how to create your own themes. So kind of that description that I was talking about before, where you want to have your own website, you don't have to think of this as a restricting factor. The functionality with the Investment Dominator is kind of the reason why you're getting it, and we're constantly improving it every day. So what normally people that are kind of guided towards that and what they want to do is change the way the websites look. So you might not like. Let's see. Sorry, I'm losing my tabs. You might not like, your legacy theme. We'll go ahead and update our site here. And then we'll go ahead and open our buying site. So this is kind of the legacy theme that's default within the Investment Dominator when you open up your buying site. Yeah, you don't have to be stuck with that. You're not stuck with that. So we do have our 2.0 option here, which has been tested, and we've seen some pretty good results that we have here. And you'll see kind of this custom options that I have down here. So if we go back to our where we were searching for our buying articles, you'll kind of see how to create your own custom buying site theme. So while you have to have those two separate domains, which are hosted with GoDaddy, but you're pointing all of your information to the Investment Dominator, so you're able to download these custom themes, which we have here. So this is where you'll kind of set up everything that you have in works for your buying site, which we have here. So you can go ahead and either choose your themes. These are the 3 custom themes that we do have with the Investment Dominator, as well as banner sections here that can be updated, your menu background color, and additional information as well. So you'll see. Sorry about that. So you'll see kind of all the information that you need to work through with this, but any other questions that you have about your buying or selling site can be found within the Investment Dominator. So hopefully that answers your question, Jamiller. Just keep in mind that you are purchasing this from GoDaddy, but you are pointing it to the Investment Dominator, and that's where you're working with your websites. So, all right, it is 5:55. Let's see if we have a quick question that we can answer. regarding the Investment Dominator. Do keep in mind if you have any other questions that you want to save for Thursday, I will keep that on a backlog, and those will be the first questions that we kind of go through with. But let's see, we have a question from Stephen K here, who says, is Pat live 24/7? And yes, sir, that is actually. Regarding the cost, I do not actually have a specific number on this. Let's see if we can go ahead and pull up this Ring Central here. But do keep in mind, Pat Live is a 24-hour call center. They will be taking those calls 24/7. If you did want to, that section where we were talking about customizing the company information, which we can go here, go to company information. You'll kind of notice this right here. That section isn't referring to, kind of these hours. That's kind of just more towards letting customers know when your whole business can be reached during that time. But yes, so all right. So hopefully that answers your question. And I just want to take the time to appreciate everybody for being so responsive this call. We had a great turnout, and as Warren liked to do, I do want to bring up a quote before we end our day. And just kind of keep in mind that this quote is geared towards positivity, just kind of helping those get out of a gutter, which they might seem stuck in, but they're not. So the quote goes, "You don't make progress by standing on the sidelines, whimpering and complaining. You make progress by implementing ideas." So when you're working with the Investment Dominator, you want to keep in mind, let's say you send out your letters and you don't get a good turnout, and it kind of makes you slack off with the Investment Dominator and you kind of put it to the side. We are a community altogether, so just keep in mind that if you are feeling this, we do have our Facebook groups or places where you can talk about this and you can kind of work with others as well, kind of that community aspect. But we do have our article section and we do have our ticket support. There is a support system that is helping you to achieve your goals with the Investment Dominator. So, it's okay. Let's say, one day sets you back a little bit, but you don't want to make it two. You want to try to catch yourself and really bring yourself forward. And don't be afraid to ask questions. Don't be afraid to reach out, and don't be afraid to submit feedback. Anything that you kind of have with the Investment Dominator, anything that you're getting stuck towards, you can go ahead and submit a ticket and ask us. Do keep in mind, if it gets more specific and it starts working with your process and has to deal with your business and your money, these are questions that are more geared towards a coach, so we're going to direct you to that. But other than that, we're really here for a great time, and we do these calls just so that we can stay on top of our game as well. So do keep in mind, send in any last minute questions that you guys have here, and we'll save that for the Thursday session. But if you guys don't have any additional questions or anything else, that is going to be the end of our live session tonight. So again, thank you all for tuning in, and thank you all for taking the time to work through with this. And we do have our sessions on Thursday, which is at 12 p.m. Mid-Standard Time. So again, I just want to thank you all for joining, and hope everybody have a great night and a great sleep working through with the Investment Dominator. So all right, goodbye everybody.